All right, today we're jumping into the world of an artist who, honestly, saw things in a way nobody else did at the time. His name was William Blake. And for him, it wasn't just about being a poet or a painter, he was a true visionary. His whole philosophy was built on this one powerful idea, that to get a handle on anything, whether it's the human soul or, the entire universe, you first have to embrace its total opposite. So yeah, let's get right into it. This one line, without contraries, is no progression. This is pretty much the master key to Blake's entire universe. You have to understand, for him, life wasn't some simple story of good versus evil or logic versus passion. Nope. He saw them as these essential, necessary forces that are always pulling against each other. And that tension, that constant tug of war, that's what he believed drives everything forward. Creation, human progress, the whole shebang. And here's something you've really got to get about him. Blake didn't just write down these huge ideas. He brought them to life with this total artistic vision. He was a poet, sure, but also a painter and a printmaker. So he wasn't just writing words on a page. He was designing them, engraving them, painting them. He was creating this world where the words and the pictures were totally inseparable. One couldn't exist without the other. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the artist of opposites, basically how he made his art. Then we'll dive into his Songs of Two Worlds, Innocence and Experience. After that, it's his Prophecies of Revolution, where he really takes on the world. And finally, we'll wrap up with Blake's timeless vision and see how he's still so relevant today. Okay, first up, the artist of opposites. Let's really dig into Blake's visionary world. So you have to picture the time. We're talking late 18th, early 19th century. Blake was a total radical. He looked at the established rules for art, for religion, for politics, and he just rejected all of it. He was determined to create something completely new. And his method for doing this was just brilliant. He invented this process he called illuminated poetry. See, he didn't just send his poems off to a printer to get typeset like everyone else. No way. He would actually etch both the words and the illustrations around them onto a single copper plate. Just think about that. It means every single page was its own complete work of art, a total fusion of word and image. This was a huge deal, and it really set the stage for the whole Romantic movement. All right, next section, Songs of Two Worlds. We're going to look at the duality of innocence and experience. And honestly, if you want to see Blake's whole philosophy of contraries in action, this is the place to look. His most famous works, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, he literally called them the two contrary states of the human soul. So Blake gives us these two completely different lenses to look through. On one side, you've got innocence. This is the world as a child sees it, It's all about purity, joy, a simple belief that creation is good. And the perfect symbol for this? The lamb. Gentle, pure. But then you have experience. This is the world after that innocence gets shattered. It's a world filled with injustice, oppression, and really tough moral questions. And its symbol? The tiger. Fearsome, powerful, and absolutely awe-inspiring. Just listen to this from The Lamb. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? The tone is so gentle, right? It's simple. It's filled with this pure sense of wonder. It's all about a creator who is kind and loving, a God of total innocence. This poem is the absolute heart of that first state of the soul. And then, bam, the complete opposite. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? The energy just explodes off the page, doesn't it? It's powerful, it's intense, it's terrifyingly beautiful. Blake is asking, who could possibly make something this fierce? Could it be the same creator who made the gentle little lamb? And that question throws you headfirst into the world of experience, where beauty and terror, good and evil, they all exist right next to each other. Okay, let's move on. Prophecies of Revolution, challenging religion, politics, and art. This is where things get even bigger. Blake takes this whole idea of warring opposites and points it right at the world around him. In what are called his prophetic books, he builds this incredible, complex mythology of his own, all to take aim at the oppression he saw everywhere in society. And at the center of this mythology, you've got this figure named Urizen. He's basically the big bad of Blake's universe. Think of him as the embodiment of cold, rigid reason, logic without any imagination, any heart. He's the guy who creates all the restrictive laws, the oppressive religions. He's the one forging what Blake famously called the mind-forged manacles that keep humanity in chains. And this wasn't just some fantasy world he was building. Blake was connecting it directly to what was happening in his own time. For example, he looked at the American Revolution, and he didn't just see a political war. He saw a spiritual one. He saw it as this epic struggle of liberating energy finally breaking free from the tyrannical chains of Urizen. And he really lays it all out in what might be his most out there work, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. I mean, the ideas in this book are wild. He basically flips everything on his head. He says, you know what society calls good? That's often just being passive and obedient. And evil? That's just raw, active energy. He's not saying one is better. He's saying you need both. For Blake, true enlightenment, true wisdom, it comes from smashing those old labels and just embracing everything, the light and the dark. So let's talk about Blake's timeless vision, how he went from obscurity to having this enduring influence. Because, as you can probably guess, these ideas were a little too much for his time. Blake was almost completely misunderstood, even ignored during his own life. It would take like 100 years before people really started to get it. I mean, check out this journey to recognition. He dies in 1827, and pretty much nobody cares. He's a nobody. Then, decades later, in 1863, the first big biography about him comes out, and suddenly people are like, whoa, who was this guy? By the time the 20th century rolls around, he's finally being hailed as this major figure, a true pioneer of the Romantic movement. And today, he's considered one of the most important and visionary artists in history. What a comeback story. And in the end, his influence is just undeniable. His total focus on imagination, on individual vision, on the raw emotional power of a person, it had this massive impact on the poets who came after him, big names like Wordsworth and Shelley, and he's still inspiring artists and thinkers right now, today. So that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Blake's central struggle, right? It was this fight between the incredible, liberating power of imagination and the restrictive, oppressive force of reason. Now think about it. More than 200 years later, doesn't that struggle feel more relevant than ever? Where do you see it playing out in our world today? Is it in our technology, in our jobs, in our society? Blake's work doesn't just ask us to notice these opposites, it challenges us to find the progress that comes